David.
Hi, Rosabelle. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'd give my day a 7 out of 10. What about you?
I would give it a 6 out of 10.
Have you had something go wrong, or has it just been boring?
I got rained on.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to make your day worse by throwing an annoying question at you, but today's topic, we're looking at tribute bands. Quite a bizarre sort of territory we get into.
Uh-huh.
But I'm wondering if you could see any band, that wasn't the band or the artist, but was someone pretending to be said band or artist, who would you want to see?
Oh, that's such a good question.
It's sort of almost like you don't want to fork out top dollar for the actual band, but you kind of want to be in the zone and pay less for someone who is not quite the real band.
Okay, so you mean the band is still alive? Like you could go see them. They're not dead.
In this scenario, the band is still alive. They have not passed on.
Wow.
So you have the real band or artist touring, and then you have the tribute also touring for a much cheaper price. But they're very professional. If you close your eyes, you might not be able to tell the difference.
Don't you think this is a good loophole if you have an artist who you really like and they get cancelled? Can you give the money to this tribute artist instead?
Can I go guilt-free to a Michael Jackson tribute act?
Where does the money go? Does the money go to this impersonator or?
It does all go to the tribute. It doesn't go to the original artist. They're separate worlds.
Okay, so this is actually a trick question about who is my most cancelled favorite artist.
Yeah, that's what we're secretly getting to.
Someone once told me about this really popular band who they didn't want to play their old music anymore, but a lot of people who loved them really wanted to come and hear their old music. And the way that they addressed it is that they got a tribute band to open for them, and the opening band would play all their old music, and then they would come on and play the music they wanted to play,
God, that's good.
which I thought that was very clever.
Well, I was thinking about this. When I get sick of doing this podcast and talking to you, I can just get someone to sub in for me. It wouldn't be hard to do.
Maybe would you ever have a tribute person? Tribute David Farrier.
It's food for thought. Flightless Bird 2026. Not me anymore. Someone else.
Well, we've already done that in our personal lives, so why not professionally?
I'm David Farrier, a New Zealander accidentally marooned in America, and I want to figure out what makes this country tick. Now, back at Christmas, a music can never say that word, was released called Song Sung Blue. Now, I'm of the belief that no music biopics ever need to be made again after Walk Hard. If you don't know that film, please go and watch it now. But Song Sung Blue caught my attention because it was about a tribute band called Lightning and Thunder, a tribute band who toured around performing as Neil Diamond. Tribute bands have always fascinated me. I think they're almost more interesting than the actual bands or artists they're tributing because there's just so much weird stuff going on with them. Tribute bands are more than just cover bands. They exist to encapsulate not just the music, but also the personalities and stage presence and production of the real band. Sometimes they exist while the actual band still exists. Others live on after the original artist has passed away, as if the ghosts of the artist have simply refused to leave this mortal plane. And who do we have to thank for the tribute band? Well, probably Australia. Sure, there have always been Elvis impersonators, but for the tribute band, I'm pretty sure it was Australia. Back in the day, places like Australia, and New Zealand as well, were so far away, big groups with big shows from America and the UK never made it that far. So Australia just invented their own versions. So instead of Pink Floyd, Australia had the Australian Pink Floyd show. And instead of ABBA, they had Bjorn again. From Australia, the idea of tribute bands being a real viable thing stuck, and they got bigger everywhere else, including America. And so when I heard about an American tribute band tributing the music of an Australian band, it just seemed like such a wonderful full circle moment. I wanted to make a Flightless Bird episode about it. So get ready to see your favorite band perform, but they're not actually your favorite band because they're a tribute band. But does it really matter if you can't even tell the difference? Because this is the tribute band episode.
Why do growing businesses love working in Slack? Let's ask Christy at Ari Bikes.
Running things in Slack saves me so much time.
AI summaries save 97 minutes per week. What say you, Rox from Gosney?
Slack helps us build community, it helps us build connection.
Your partners, vendors and customers all in one place. Take us on home, Ashley from Caraway.
If we didn't have Slack tomorrow, I would explode.
Well, let's not let that happen. Visit slack.com/podcast to get 50% off Slack Business Plus.
Flightless bird, touchdown in America. I'm a flightless bird, touchdown in America.
Rob, how are you?
Good, David. How are you? You're in New Zealand
I'm
still.
good. I'm still in New Zealand, which made the opening line of the show saying I'm marooned in America seem completely diabolical. But hey, you got to give that iconic line, don't you, for the show that you always open with. You can never change it.
Yeah, because you're a dark tourist.
Oh, yeah, thank you. And life's crazy and unpredictable
When you're a dark tourist.
Now, Rob, you're a music lover.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of deeply curious, growing up in America, whether the sort of idea of a tribute band was sort of a thing you've brushed up against. Because, in New Zealand, growing up, there were tribute bands here all the time, either Kiwi made or coming in from Australia, or it was always a thing.
Yeah, I think like Chicago suburbs, there was always smaller tribute and cover bands going around. Like, I think there are some pretty well-known or heavily pushed ones in the suburbs of Chicago. Yeah, what was the question?
No, I think this is such an interesting area, because I think there's this your kind of reaction when you hear tribute band is like, oh, it's not the real band, so like, why would I be interested?
It was never something I would ever go see, I will say.
Okay.
But I will say there is a little bit of contradiction there. I do like a good cover. Like, I do like a band doing a great cover of a song.
Yeah.
But I think the difference there is that I'm not going to see this band because of their cover. I'm going because of their original music, but then I love the rendition of this cover that they do.
Yeah, I guess a band doing a cover of a song, they're not saying we're trying to be this band. They're like, we're still the band we are, but we're temporarily embodying the song in some way.
Or doing their own take on it. I will say, I don't know if there's anything to do with it either. None of the bands I really listen to would have a tribute or cover band.
Because that's the other thing. If you're listening to sort of smaller indie bands, they're not going to have tribute bands. You've got to be listening to incredibly big sort of mainstream acts to even have a tribute band around them.
Yeah, which could change my mind. Like, I could see being slightly more interested in seeing a good Radiohead cover band or tribute band. But even then, like, I think immediately I go to, they're not going to be as good. Like, musically, they're not going to be as good. So why I maybe wouldn't either bother doing that.
And I also think that comes from, we're both super lucky to currently spend most of our time in Los Angeles, where we get access to every single band imaginable. And so we have that. And I think, obviously, for people that are out in the WOPs, tribute bands become this thing where it's like, this might be their only opportunity to hear this kind of music done, because Radiohead isn't going to come to
Joshua
small
Tree.
American town.
Joshua Tree. I mean,
Joshua Tree.
which I do get, though. Like, if it's a band that like is never going to tour again, like, I do love the magic of live music, and I can understand that.
Because that's the other thing. Does it alter in your mind? Is there a difference between a tribute band that is tributing a band that is currently existing, or is it different if the band they are tributing is no longer either touring or their members have all passed away? Like, how does that like factor into the math of it?
I mean, I think that definitely factors.
Dear God.
I think that definitely factors quite a bit. Where like, and then I think you have to go even further when you get it on the scale of like Vegas, and Vegas having like a Beatles Cirque du Soleil with Like that's cool. I don't mind that.
Yes, like you get far enough away from the band, the original band performing, somehow it becomes more palatable to listen to someone else doing that music and performing those songs.
Yeah, if there's not like Queen, like there's that dude that's Freddie Mercury now on those tours.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't have any problem with that. Like, especially they're investing in like the production of those shows. Again, I don't think it's like a replacement for Queen, but if you enjoy those songs and like there's like a weird business aspect to that though, of like the label or whoever still owns that catalog and the licensing for that music. So they're just going to plug in a new frontman to perform it and monetize.
Something, and this is maybe a little bit niche, but whenever I think about tribute bands, I've been thinking about this. I love Linkin Park. Grew up loving Linkin Park. Big fan of Chester. So you've got this sort of new metal rock band. That frontman Chester, he passed away. God, it's probably going back years now, probably 2017 or 2018. He passes away. There are a bunch of Linkin Park cover bands, right? Linkin Park, the actual band, now has a new female singer, Scientologist, famously, very funny.
From the band Dead Sarah.
From the band Dead Sarah. And so you've got Linkin Park is still touring and doing their thing, but different vocalist. You either like their new sort of singer or you're more skeptical of it, I guess. There's a tribute band, a Linkin Park tribute band that is now doubled down, basically going, and their frontman sort of looks like Chester and sounds like Chester, and they're basically now in all their marketing, and I find it kind of grimy. Their marketing is like, no, we are more like the original Linkin Park than the actual Linkin Park is now, because we have a singer that is more genetically similar and
that's insane.
to the original singer. And I find that concept a combination of hilarious and also quite weird.
That's insane. I mean, when a band just replaces the singer because they died, like, they don't then become a tribute band because they no longer have the singer.
I fully agree. I fully agree with you.
But yeah, like, that other layer of this cover band then saying they're more of the... No, that's not true at all. Because I've also seen so much like the magic of all of the people in the band coming together and like the lead singer leaving and being like, I can do this on my own. And that magic's gone. Like it is the sum of all parts is very real in a band.
Totally. And that's the magic of like the music, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I find that concept sort of hilarious and awful, and
a little sexist.
I think, very like deeply sexist. It's like, what, a woman? No, that's not Linkin Park. It needs to be all dicks. Else it's not gonna work. Okay, so for my little audio documentary today, I really enjoyed putting this.
How do you feel about tribute bands and cover bands? Do you want to go see a 9 Inch Nail cover band?
No, so that's a good question. I'm very similar to you in that if I had access to the band that I loved, I would go and see them.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I came out of putting this little audio documentary together thinking a bit differently about it. So before I went into this, in my brain, cover bands and tribute bands were kind of the same thing. The idea of seeing a band doing covers at a bar wasn't that different in my mind to the tribute scene. I mean, I think that's purely because I haven't been to see a lot of big tribute bands perform. I just haven't been plugged into that world. And so in putting this particular story together, I think my perception shifted and I went in feeling skeptical, I think, and a bit snobbish about the whole tribute scene. I think I came away from it going, oh, I get it. I feel my perspective of why people get involved in this scene shifted dramatically, and I found that really interesting.
I will say I do have a friend. My friend Thomas plays in this I feel like we get a little spoiled in LA, but they have this like 80s cover band called the Good Time Boys, which I think it's my friend Thomas and then like a guy from Maroon 5, and it's just all these crazy musicians that are this band. So it's much more for fun and for the love of music. And I think the assumption on a lot of cover bands and tribute bands is that they're musicians that couldn't cut it at writing original stuff, so they're performing other
Totally.
people's
I think
music.
that stereotype haunts everyone, right? In that scene.
But I do think if no, these are just musicians who really love this band. They do have their own stuff. Like I have seen that happen where I know musicians that are in successful bands that they're gonna go play this bar every third Thursday in LA and they're just having fun. Like that's a whole nother aspect to a cover band.
Yeah, and I think the intent and the reason people are doing it as well factors so heavily into that side of things.
Yeah, I think there's this weird assumption of some sadness that is if you're in a cover band or a tribute band, you weren't good enough to be in a band making original music.
And the band I'm about to talk to now, they understand that very, very well.
Let's hear it.
Chapter 1, Thunderstruck. If you somehow manage to miss the music of AC/DC, well, I don't really know what to say. Where have you been? AC/DC was founded by two brothers in Sydney, Australia in 1973. Angus Young played lead guitar and older brother Malcolm was on rhythm guitar. AC/DC had a few different vocalists in the early years, Bon Scott tragically passing away from alcohol poisoning after a massive drinking binge. Brian Johnson took over on vocals in 1980 and is probably the voice you most associate with AC/DC. The Australian songs are huge, and they got huge all over the world, including here in faraway America, where a boy called Jimmy was transfixed.
Well, it's funny because none of my family members, my parents, they love music, but they're not musicians. They don't really play anything, but there was always music on in the house when I was a little kid. And I have this distinct memory of an 80s style boombox, a big one that you'd have on your shoulder. In this room, I'm at my parents' house now. So there was, I found this white cassette tape and I threw it in there, and it was the Back in Black album.
Back in Black, when physical media was a thing, was the second highest selling album of all time, beaten only by Michael Jackson's Thriller.
And I didn't know who it was or what it was, but I heard it and I was like, fuck, man, this is incredible. And I just listened to that fucking cassette tape so many times. I wore the thing out. And eventually I finally, when I kind of had more access to the internet, I watched videos of Angus Young in his costume running around on stage. And I'm like, this is I have to do that. So it wasn't that I wanted to be him, but I just was like, I need to do music. I have to do it.
For Jimmy, who's recently turned 30, AC/DC was his gateway into music. But it wasn't just a band that got him interested in listening to music. It was the first band that gave him the confidence to perform in front of other people. The songs were that good, it led him to being on stage for the first time.
I'm 30 now. I've been playing since I was around 10. So I had just always been doing it. The first ever opportunity I had to play live in front of anyone was with a tribute band called ADHD, a play on the name AC/DC.
He was 21. He could play in bars. And ADHD, an objectively very good name for an AC/DC cover band, did okay. People turned up.
So I joined as a bass player. I was not a bass player, but they needed one. And it was literally dive bars, playing to 5 or 6 people, the drunk moms that go there on a Wednesday night, that sort of thing. That's what it was. And I was playing bass. And then I eventually finally was able to slide into the guitar role where I belong and where I love. And so people would film videos and post them on Facebook or whatever, Instagram, and they were just out there.
The videos were out there, and they ended up being watched by another AC/DC tribute band. Yes, there are lots of tribute bands out there. But the good thing about this tribute band is that it was on its way to becoming one of the best AC/DC tribute bands around.
I had heard the name of this band, Dirty Deeds, around. They're like, this is the pinnacle of a tribute band in this area.
Dirty Deeds, named after an AC/DC song, wanted Jimmy in their band.
That was how this current band found me, but just a random person's video on Facebook.
So 4 years ago, Jimmy joined America's best AC/DC tribute. That music is Dirty Deeds, by the way, not AC/DC.
So I'm playing Malcolm Young's role, who's the brother of Angus. When you think AC/DC, the schoolboy suit, that's Angus Young's the lead guitarist. I am the other guy in the background playing rhythm, which I love. I think it's an underappreciated role. I think a lot of the diehard fans love Malcolm Young, and I think since he passed a couple, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, longer than that now, but since he passed, he's gained a lot more appreciation. So the diehards love him, and that's what I do.
At 30 years old, Jimmy is the youngest in the band. The oldest member in the band is Bob, their founder. He's 76. We'll get to Bob in a little bit. But first, the world of the tribute band.
The world of the tribute bands has opened up in a way that I never would have expected. It's just so bizarre.
Chapter 2, A Bizarre World. Shortly after joining Dirty Deeds, Jimmy realized he'd entered this whole scene he hadn't really thought a lot about before.
The world kind of opened up in a bizarre way, and I realized that the tribute band market is insane right now. Like, it's booming in such a big way, and I think it has to do with the fact that a lot of these bands are dying off or are like retired. Best way I can describe it is on our management roster, it's only tributes. So there's no original bands. It's like just these tribute bands. There's the Eagles, there's Led Zeppelin, there's Tom Petty, any like classic band that you could think of, Fleetwood Mac. They're all on the roster, and we all are playing the same circuit of venues in the same general area. So it's like there's literally like just a market for these bands that exist. And it's so bizarre to me, but I appreciate that it does exist.
Jimmy says there's still a lot of confusion out there over a cover band versus a tribute band. When I bring up some of the cover bands I've seen playing in tiny bars in New Zealand, Jimmy stops me right there, wanting to clear it up.
So this is a point that I wanted to make, and it's something that people say all the time, tribute band versus cover band. I think of them as two different things. I think of a cover band as the guys that are getting together at the bar, goofing around, playing like multiple bands' songs, modern pop songs, whatever it is, they're doing their thing just for the drunken people at the bar. A tribute band, to me, is when you're each playing a real person's role in the original band, or you're trying to replicate the sound of the album.
Okay.
So it's like you're tributing something that exists in a way that you're familiar with versus just throwing the music out there. And the way Dirty Deeds does it is, and I think that it makes us a little bit unique amongst other AC/DC tributes, is we think of it more of a Broadway production than a gig, than a show, or than a concert. There's media, there's pyrotechnics, there's things that go along with each song. So it's like a flow from the beginning to the end of AC/DC's career. So you're seeing like,
oh, amazing,
the whole thing, which is kind of like what the Beatles bands do. A lot of bands do it, but it makes it a little bit more than you're just going to experience the music, which I think can work really well too if the band does it well. But, you know, you're trying to give the people a show, you're trying to, you know, get them their money's worth. And we all love AC/DC, so it feels like a great way to show the love for them, you know? I think that is a big misstep, is to think it's too easy, because there's a difference between playing the song and playing it like the artist. And it's like the AC/DC is a great example because they're just simple music. It's not many chords. It's straight ahead rock and roll. But if you don't play it like Malcolm Young with the ferocity of his pick attack, and if you don't play it the same way, it just sounds like boring. You know, you have to really put the effort in to get those little things down. And you have to perform too. You have to be a great performer. You can't just phone it in. You know, you got to really work the crowd, even more than the real band, I think, just because they're like coming in seeing someone who's not the real band.
Stay tuned for more Flightless Bird. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. This episode of Flightless Bird is brought to you by Wild Grain. Now, I'm very excited about this because I love Wild Grain. It's the first bake from frozen subscription box for sourdough breads, artisanal pastries, and fresh pastas. I love bread, so this is like my heaven. And all the items you get from Wild Grain conveniently bake in 25 minutes or less. Unlike many store-bought options, Wild Grain uses simple ingredients that you can pronounce and a slow fermentation process that can be easier on your belly and richer in nutrients and antioxidants. There's no preservatives and no shortcuts. Wild Grain's boxes are also fully customizable. In addition to their variety box, they have a gluten-free box, vegan box, and a new protein box. We all know Americans love protein. My favorite thing that I have gotten from them, their sourdough bread and some amazing chocolate croissants. They arrive frozen, pop them in the oven. It's like you've freshly baked them yourself, and the smell of bread all through the house. Oh God, it's good. If you've got friends coming over or you want an easy dinner, this is the thing for you. There's nothing quite like having an artisan bakery in your freezer to chase away the winter chill. Now is the best time to stay in and enjoy comforting homemade meals with Wild Grain. I highly recommend giving Wild Grain a try. And right now, Wild Grain is offering our listeners $30 off your first box, plus free croissants for life when you go to wildgrain.com/bird to start your subscription today. That's $30 off your first box and free croissants for life when you visit wildgrain.com/bird, or you can use the promo code BIRD at checkout.
Whether you bond over streaming binge-worthy videos, watching sports recaps, video gaming, or by unplugging altogether, the 2026 Lincoln Nautilus Hybrid helps keep you connected throughout your journey. Learn more at Lincoln.com. Available connectivity features and functionality vary by model. Package pricing, trials, and term lengths vary by model. Video streaming and games are only available while parked.
New Year, same extra value meals at McDonald's. So now get 2 snack wraps, plus fries, and a medium soft drink for just $8.
For limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Hawaii, Alaska, and California, and for delivery.
And tell me about what kind of venues you guys are playing and where in America this takes you.
So I'm in Boston. The band's based in Massachusetts, but we're kind of all over the state. Our management agency is in New Jersey. So we're taken to, let's say, between 500 and 1,000 seat venues, indoor theaters, in the tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, down the East Coast, and out to the Midwest.
They play around 50 to 70 gigs a year, mostly in the summer. And over the last few years, Jimmy's become both charmed and fascinated by the scene in general. He's deeply aware that it's slightly bizarre to be in a tribute band. There's just an uncanniness about the whole thing, especially when you start playing at festivals that are just tribute bands. It's like this parallel universe where bands that are broken up never broke up, where singers and drummers and guitarists have retired or were buried long ago, are walking around backstage eating a sandwich.
What kind of bands are you playing with? Is it other tributes? Is it bands playing originals?
Well, this is the funny thing of the world that opens up is it is mainly other tributes. And so we're in a lucky position where we're headlining generally, which is nice. And we'll have like other bands come in and that are tribute bands to any band, you name it. But a lot of times,
so give me like a real like stellar lineup that you've seen at one of these things.
Well, we played with a band called Cathedral, which were a Van Halen tribute. They were very good. We've even a Doors band has opened for us, which is an interesting mix. AC/DC and the Doors, I wouldn't say jive super well in my mind, but they're a great band. They sound incredible. They're called Through the Doors. But man, this is a funny talking point because there are some tribute bands out there. They're hilarious. They're hilarious. There's, for some reason, in the last 5 years, I've seen multiple bands pop up. The biggest one is called Foreigner's Journey, and they're tributing the band Foreigner and the band Journey in one. And then I've seen 5 other bands pop up that are doing this same exact thing. And I'm like, what? I don't even get why. It doesn't mix in my head at all. I guess they're both rock bands, but you'll see this. People mix their it mixes. And there's another great
That
one.
is wild.
Isn't it bizarre? But listen to this one. And there's a good example, The Magical Mystery Doors. They're a Beatles Doors tribute. It sounds ridiculous, but they're an incredible band. And they mix like the Doors and Beatles music in one. So the songs are like even mixed together, which is cool. But a lot of them are just like, what is going on here? We've jumped the shark a bit here with a lot of these.
Why tribute one band when you can tribute two? Why not do it all at once? You've already messed with reality, so why not mess with it some more?
It happens everywhere. And the Foreigner's Journey band, why does there need to be 5 of those bands? Like there doesn't need to be 1 of them. There doesn't need to be 5 of them. So it definitely happens and it gets crazy.
I suppose in a way it's a testament to the quality of the music, supply and demand. And if the demand's there, a tribute band will appear. And another. But it does get Russian nesting dolls level of intense. Jimmy says the scene can get so packed, some tribute bands are not tributing the original band, but they're tributing another tribute.
We've had a competing band actually call a company that has made stage designs for us, asking for like the proprietary designs.
Once you go down the rabbit hole of tribute bands, there's so much to unpack. Some members of tribute bands get so good at playing the music, the actual band recruits them to join. This has happened with bands like Judas Priest and Kiss. Then there are the original musicians that see the market for tribute bands, so they start their own tribute band that are tributing their band. I told you this gets weird.
Mick Fleetwood of Fleetwood Mac, the real drummer of Fleetwood Mac, has created his own tribute band. He's not in it, but he manages it, and they're a Fleetwood Mac tribute. So it's like he probably had this thought, like these people are making money off of my music and my name, so why don't I just do it for them and just make the money myself? So it is an interesting thought.
I think it's fair to say the world of the tribute band can be pretty bizarre. Chapter 3, Past Lives. There's this thought that can creep in when you start to think about tribute bands. And it's this snobby kind of idea that bubbles under the surface. Why aren't you doing your own music? I think there's an inherent mean-spiritedness to that thought, like saying those that can't do teach. Teachers are cool, stop giving them shit. Jimmy's all too aware of this, having played in 2 AC/DC cover bands now, while also writing his own songs and doing his own stuff on the side.
It's not necessarily what you would dream of doing when you think of being a professional musician. Like you want to be playing your own music, you want to be doing your own thing. But when an opportunity comes along, you kind of have to grab onto it. If it's a good opportunity, especially in the music business, it's just a nightmare to have anything. So a lot of my fellow musicians and people in the tribute game have like stumbled into this and are just riding the wave right now. It's like, you can't, turn away a good opportunity. So it may not be the dream per se, but it pays the bills and we all get to play music we love. So it's definitely one way to go about it,
I was curious to get the perspective of someone else in the band about this too. Chris isn't the oldest member in Dirty Deeds. In his 50s, he's somewhere in the middle.
I'd have to say most of the best times of my life have been because of this business. But also, there's the other side where the disappointment and the heartbreak and being so close, because I was in a band that did really well, had a record deal, a development deal, and getting that close to where you are like, okay, this is it. I'm doing it. I'm in a huge studio with a Grammy Award winning producer, and all my friends are like, dude, you did it. Everything's great. And to watch it all just go away and then be right back to square one, I was like, man, it was very harsh and cruel. And but you pick up the pieces because if you love to play.
That band was called God's Little Joke. They're still around, still writing. But all that hype came and went in the early 2000s. With that band, Chris experienced the massive ups and massive downs of the music industry.
It was a huge opportunity, and to see it be so close and literally be in one of the biggest studios in LA. And I'll never forget the day that we were in there recording and Paul McCartney wanted the studio, and it was crazy. And they told him no.
Hey, Paul, it's busy. We're busy, mate.
they wound up calling the president of Universal at the time, and they said, listen, Paul wants the studio. And he said, you tell him my new band is in there. And so I called my mom. I was like, this is it, right? Like stuff. And that was probably the best day. And it all, long story, it all went downhill from after that. But
Chris went and played with other bands after that. Like Jimmy, he just loves music. He wouldn't ever do anything else. And then he started thinking about Bob.
I grew up with Bob. He's older than me, but I've known Bob since I was 15.
Chris first saw Bob on stage performing. And what blew his mind wasn't just that Bob was an amazing musician, but that he was just some local guy. He wasn't a visiting superstar. He was just a musician from his town.
I saw Bob open for Rick Derringer. And I was probably about 14 years old. And I remember, actually, believe it or not, I was already starting to play music, but I went home depressed because I realized that day that there were local musicians in my backyard that were as good as the guys that I admired. That I don't know why I was so naive about that going. And I remember thinking, how the heck am I going to get out of here if the bass player in his band was amazing? And I remember thinking, how am I going to get like through that guy and develop myself around if there's guys that good in my backyard? And then my best friend said to me, the next day we just got up and we started practicing. It motivated us to we need to be better because his band was so good. It just blew us away.
Like Chris, Bob's career also went through its ups and downs over the next few decades. And at some point, Bob decided to start an AC/DC tribute band called Dirty Deeds.
Both of our careers we've chased the dragon and, come really close. And then it led me to Dirty Deeds now because he started this band like almost 25 years ago.
Back when Bob started Dirty Deeds, it was a bar band playing a bunch of rock clubs in New England. 10 years after it started, Chris crossed paths with Bob again. And Bob said, well, do you want to join my band? Tribute band, that is.
I had started to think about, well, I'm getting older. What's the next thing? I'm not going to compete with these young kids for gigs, that I'm just getting too old to get. But I'm young enough that I can certainly, I'm in my 50s. I can work in the music business. So I started looking at the tribute thing as an option because I remember the days where I used to say, I'll never play in a tribute band. But then it's changed a lot in the last 20 years. I met with Bob and him and we said, okay. Bob said to me, do it for a year. He said, don't take off on some tour, give me a year. And then I even said to my wife at the time, I said, I'll do it for a while. We'll see how it goes. And I'm going on 10 years now. So it's gone pretty well.
Chapter 4, Where's Bob? I should probably mention that at this point, yes, I have been trying to find and interview Bob. When you're telling the story of a band where the youngest member has just turned 30 and the oldest member is in their late 70s, you have to talk to both. But to level with you, Bob is just really fucking hard to nail down. When I first interviewed Jimmy months ago, he promised to bring Bob, but there was no Bob.
I'll give you Nate's information, who's our direct manager and our sound guy, and he should easily be able to connect you with Bob.
I talked to Nate, but nothing came of it. Emails back and forth, nothing. A month after that, Jimmy promised Bob again, but again, Bob was nowhere to be found.
If you talk to Nate, I think he would be able to get Bob.
Nate will get me Bob. Cool.
And in my own mind, I found that Bob started to turn into this sort of mythical legend, especially in the way Jimmy and Chris both talked about him.
He is like a bastion of what I want to be when I'm his age. It's unbelievable. He's 76 years old. He's a year younger than the real singer of AC/DC, which is hilarious. And he always, without fail, has more energy than any of us in the band. Like, the show will be over and I'm like, oh God, like I got to sit down. And he's like, I could do another one right now. He could just go all night.
Bob's been around. He's like probably one of the best kept secrets around here. He's a legend in this area.
Well, he's a legend that's very hard to find. So with 76-year-old Bob MIA, I returned to 30-year-old Jimmy for my final questions about the tribute scene.
We talked about this earlier, but when you look at a lot of the tribute bands doing their thing, they're increasingly doing it in a world where the original bands are either getting older or members are dying, or a combination of both. I wanted to know what that's like to inhabit the world of a dead icon, to play that role for fans still seeking the same musical rush. Jimmy's whole thing is being AC/DC's Malcolm Young, who died from dementia in November of 2017 at the age of 64.
I just have such a respect for him. And it's funny because I still listen to those songs and I try to get them down perfectly. And I'm still learning stuff new. Like I've been doing it for a decade trying to play like him. And I'll isolate his track and I'm like, what the fuck is he doing, man? Like, how did he think of this shit?
What Jimmy's left to do is try and figure it out. And not just the music, but the whole package.
I think if you're going to be a performer on stage, you have to practice performing as much as you do playing. And so we all are like neurotic lunatics about this. Like we watch videos of them and learn their moves. And like I practiced his moves without a guitar in front of a mirror just to make sure I know exactly what I'm doing. And like he might not look like much. He's kind of just tapping his leg and bouncing a little bit, but the diehards know it when they see it and they can tell when it's right or wrong. So that's the type of stuff that we're like neurotic about. I mean, that's part of the fun of it. It's like, it's always a battle to get closer, you know?
And getting closer to the real thing can come packaged with his own kind of chaos.
Part of the act is to wear a wig. You can see my hair, it's long, but it's not that long. Malcolm's hair is like way longer. So I have a wig and it covers a lot of my face. And I was walking back towards the amps, huge outdoor show. There may have been 10,000 people there, like legitimately. And I just did not stop walking when I should have. And I just went right through the amps. I took the whole wall out and knocked them all over at the Charlestown Seafood Fest in Rhode Island. And I got up and I kept playing. It was fine, but that was one of the worst ones. Yeah. The guitar survived. That's all that matters. This guy.
I'm curious what kind of reactions you're getting in the crowd, because I imagine you've got very passionate fans of the band. They're sort of there for something quite special. They might not have never gotten to see the original AC/DC, and you're a point where they can experience that. What's the audience like?
Well, it's definitely an older crowd. It ranges to, we do get a fair share of kids, which is cool, parents bringing their kids, but it's definitely people that like love AC/DC and always did in their entire life and want to rock out. So it's funny because we go into these theaters that are generally very ornate and nicely appointed, and we're just playing rowdy rock and roll, and people are getting up and dancing. It's just the best. Like people, seeing these people let loose. And generally we have positive reactions. We really try to do the music justice, and I think we do a good job of it. And the diehard people, they can see what you put into it. They know what to look for and they know what they want to hear. And so if we do it well, the crowd goes wild. And it's always so funny to me to go into these beautiful old theaters and just get it crack, blow the roof off the place. It's fun. It's the best. And that's usually the vibe we go for. If people are up and dancing, then we've done our job. A lot of these places that we're playing are places, and I don't want this to sound disparaging because I end up loving every single one of them, but they're places that I would never go, like ever. We're talking like the middle of West Virginia, some random town in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, wherever it may be out. I just don't even know they exist. You can't find them on a map. But a lot of these theaters these towns have had old, like abandoned movie theaters or old like vaudeville theaters from way back in the day, and they've been renovated by like the local community, and they're upkept by volunteers. And these tribute bands, a lot of these bands are in the circuit of playing those places. So we go in there, and I find it exciting to be able to bring something to like this community that for a long time didn't have anything like this. And a lot of the theaters are incredible, and they treat the acts so well. It's just a cool thing to see. I mean, some of the places we see are like, some incredible vintage stores, cool little mom and pop shops. And it's like, you just don't really get that in a big city as much. Like, it's cool to see that still exists out there. And that's the beauty of playing in those types of towns and those theaters. It's like those people are probably the biggest fans of the bands. Like, and they never get to see them. They just love them. They're the diehards, you know, that make up the places that you may never think of. So to bring it to them and to get them up on their feet is what makes it worth it, you know, for sure.
And as I finished talking to Jimmy and Chris, I realized that this music gets them on their feet too.
But, you know, it's crazy when you get on stage, though, that doesn't matter because when we're on stage, our age dynamic doesn't. Bob and I, the oldest, but there's 20 years between us but man, when we play this music, it's that we're all 20. We're all kids because, you know, you just feel like a kid when you play.
I thought this is where the episode was going to end, and the ending would have been fine, I guess. But there would always have been that annoying niggle. Where the fuck was Bob? Well, just as I was about to put this episode to bed, I got a call. Months after I'd started this whole thing. It was Jimmy. Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing? I have the man, the myth, the legend here.
And that brings us to our final short chapter. Chapter 5, Bob. Dirty Deeds was about to play a show to an adoring bunch of fans of AC/DC and fans of Dirty Deeds. And what do you need for a Dirty Deed show? You need one frontman called Bob. And Jimmy had bailed him up on the tour van, essentially trapping him on the phone with one annoying podcast host on the other end of the line.
He's hard to wrangle, but I got him for you.
So thank you.
I will hand the phone over to you, Bob Conti, our band leader and lead singer. Here he is.
Our conversation was brief but worthwhile. Bob was lovely, a man who deeply loves his job.
Okay, here's exactly what it is. A lot of bands, you know, the band business got tough, and a lot of bands, as it got tough, figured, well, if you're a tribute band, you'll do good. And it's not necessarily so, because to be a tribute band, you've got to be into the people you're doing, the character, the music, what they stand for. And a lot of bands, in fairness to them, just want to work because the business got tough. But that doesn't make you a good tribute band. What makes you a good tribute band is everyone that you pick to be in your band has to really care about who they're doing and why they're doing it. And that's the downfall for some of the tribute bands and the positive for the ones that care. AC/DC are legends anyway, but I feel like it doesn't hurt to be part of that and do it at the best you can do it and pay homage to them. That's why I do it. I do it for that reason, the AC/DC thing, for the past 25 years, actually.
Bob says for him, the other thing that's a big driver is just getting to see different parts of the United States and to meet other people like him, AC/DC fans.
Meeting new faces. Like, for instance, you're from a certain area. We're from Massachusetts. So if everyone tonight says, oh, great, good to see you, you guys still sound great. But it feels so much better when you're in Wisconsin or you're in Ohio and someone says, you guys are phenomenal. You're such great people. Because what we do is we meet and greet all the time. So that is what keeps me going, to realize that no matter where we go, not only myself, but everybody in the band gets accepted real well and conducts themselves really well and professional. So that's what keeps me going with that.
I think back to something Jimmy had told me a few months back about Bob's energy, about how Bob just kept going.
And he grew up in he was making his moves in the 80s with his old bands that did get relatively famous in the local area. And so he's just a child of being a savage musician, of just performing. He would perform 6 days a week, and every day. And it's just like, that's who he is. He just breathes it. And like, he broke his ankle a year ago, and the morning of a show, he broke his ankle, and he performed that night on a fucking broken ankle. And then he couldn't really heal because we just had the schedule. So he was like, I'll be fine. I'll just sit down after the show. And I'm like, dude, he's an animal.
With that in mind, and before I leave the animal Bob to go and play what will be one of many shows this year, I wonder what he makes of the rest of his band. Why he picked who he picked, why the age range is so wide. You've got this big age range in the group as well. Do you enjoy that aspect of things?
Yeah, I do. I'll tell you why I do. Because I want this band to continue when I'm done. I'm a lot older than them. I'm hoping that they get the experience from me that I've dealt with for all these years. So when I pass the torch, they're all younger, and I want to keep bringing younger people in, and it'll be theirs because I want it to continue. I want them to continue for another 10, 20 years. That's up to them when I finally retire from it.
He pauses for a moment and laughs. See, technically, it's a really good plan. The perfect plan for a tribute band to outlast the band they're tributing and to outlast their own founder. But there might be a small flaw in his plan.
I don't know if they can make it. These guys, they're younger than me, but sometimes I got the energy and they're out of gas. It's funny.
Stay tuned for more Flightless Bird. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Support for Flightless Bird comes from Shopify. Now, if you've been wondering about starting that new business, but you've sort of been toing and froing about it, the new year is the best time to actually click go on the whole thing. You might have had this idea floating around your head for a while about a website, you want to sell stuff, you want to do things. This is the year to do it. January is short, it flies by, don't let Feb arrive and have the same old story of not getting this thing off the ground. And the most powerful move to make this all happen in 2026 is to start your own business with Shopify. This is the year you launch your business. Shopify gives you everything you need to sell online and in person. Millions of entrepreneurs have already made this leap from household names to first-time business owners just getting started. Shopify gives you all the tools you need to easily build your dream store. Choose from hundreds of beautiful templates, and you can customize to match your brand. Marketing is built in as well. You can create email and social campaigns that reach customers wherever they scroll. And as you grow, Shopify grows with you. Handle more orders, expand to new markets, and do it all from the same dashboard that you're already used to. I'm a big coffee drinker. Death Wish Coffee, that is on Shopify. That enhances my life. And if you've got a brand that you want to get into the world, Shopify is the way to do it. In 2026, stop waiting and start selling with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/bird. Go to shopify.com/bird. That's shopify.com/bird. Hear your first this new year with Shopify by your side.
Ninja One understands that IT teams today are stretched thin, trying to manage too many disconnected tools. So they built a platform that brings them all together. Ninja One unifies endpoint management, autonomous patching, backup, and remote access into a single intelligent platform. That means fewer tools, lower costs, higher efficiency, and a team that has the bandwidth and confidence to stay ahead. Unify IT to simplify work with Ninja One. Learn more at ninjaone.com.
I had that dream again. My small business needs to hire, but I don't use LinkedIn, and I hire an energy vampire. But also they're a literal vampire. And suddenly my team is spending all their time sharpening wooden stakes and buying bulk silver and rehearsing ancient chants, and then I wake up.
Don't let hiring nightmares ruin your dreams. LinkedIn Jobs' new AI assistant takes insights from over 1 billion professionals to create a short list of the best fits for you. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/quality. Start hiring today with LinkedIn.
So look, Rob, that was Dirty Deeds, who I came out with sort of an appreciation for. I like their whole vibe, and I love that they've been doing it for as long as they have, and I love that Bob just plans to keep this going. When he's long gone, keep it going for another couple of decades. It kind of rules.
I will say, I don't think I ever realized or associated AC/DC as an Australian band.
Oh, get out. Was it British or American in your head?
It was
just like a big band from somewhere.
Before my time that I did, I assumed America.
Very deeply, deeply, deeply Australian in every conceivable way.
I mean, just because I think I learned of them as a kid. So then, there weren't really borders as kids.
No, totally. It's just music that's on the radio, and there it is, and here they are.
Yeah. I did find the perspective of how cover bands are friends at a bar playing music, and tribute bands are more a Broadway play. I did find that to be a good kind of description for what a tribute band is?
Yeah, no, completely. Because I'd said cover bands when I was interviewing Jimmy, the younger guy in the band. I'd brought that up a few times, and I hadn't noticed him probably
correct you each
bristling
time
slightly whenever I said it. And then he was like, at one point, he was like, "Hey, let's just like, because you're a real dummy, let's go over the difference between the two." And I did really like that distinction, because in my mind they were the same thing.
Well, it totally changes how you experience it too. Like it's very different going to a Broadway play, seeing something and being like, oh, well, this isn't Shakespeare or
completely
the original cast
I think
of this.
It reminded me a bit like the way they talked about it as well. It's almost, I think we've had similar discussions when we're talking about doing our live show, where if we are expecting people to pay and come and see us, we want to put on more than just, you know, two people yapping on stage. So like we put in a lot of effort, and they were saying the same thing. Like, if people are going to pay for us, we don't just want to be limping through these songs. We want video and fireworks, and we want to like put effort into how we're moving and how we're playing. And I appreciated that as well.
I mean, the thing that I think I'm curious about is it's a little chicken or the egg, though. You can't start a tribute band and be like, we're going to do pyrotechnics and all of this stage stuff, and then go play this arena that can house this.
Yeah.
So it's this weird situation where, in order for not to feel like a cover band, you need to have tribute band level production as part of it.
No, totally. And I think, Bob was saying, Dirty Deeds started, you know, over 2 decades ago, and they were playing in bars. Like, it started as a smaller thing, and then it just got built and built over the years. And it sounds like Nate, who manages the band, who I believe is Bob's son, he kind of brought in that extra production because he dealt with other tribute bands as well. I also love that they're all on a similar roster. Like, I sort of pictured it being like a one-off thing, but similar venues, similar rosters. I feel like there's this whole world going on that I've just never really thought about before.
Yeah, it's crazy. I do like the idea of members of tribute bands, since they're playing these characters of real life people, taking on the ego and personas of who they're playing. And just I could see it very quickly, like, or at least like a movie about someone becoming delusional and thinking that they're Jim Morrison.
They are the band.
Yeah. And treating the people around them like that.
It feels like the plot for an A24 film where, you know, you go out on stage and you have fans of that band reacting to you in the way they do, and kind of going, oh yeah, I am.
Yeah, it was like
Malcolm Young, or
like a version of The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke, but
just a very dark take on that entire world.
Yes, which I like. I like the idea of that very much.
Also, really loved something I didn't know happened, where you've got a tribute band who are fusing different bands into the one, like Foreigner's Journey. That is just deeply funny to me, because that's kind of, you're breaking the illusion then that you are sort of being the one thing. Like, it's quite a mad thing to transition between those two. It's very funny. And I wonder now the audience for that, whether, because it's like you've got a band playing. It's like, are you there for the opener or the main act? It's like that, but you've got a band that's the two bands in one. It's very funny.
I mean, I guess it makes sense, though, if you're just a tribute, like, and you want to go see a band play a 2-hour set, like, most of the time, if you're going to, I don't know if that's an assumption, but like a lot of concert goers just want to see the hits anyways.
Yeah. And so why not give them the hits of two bands together?
Yeah, it just gives them more versus like if you're only covering ACD. I guess some of these bands that have tribute bands have enough of a catalog where they could play the hits for 2 hours, and you wouldn't have a song that doesn't hit. But
AC/DC is very much like that, yeah.
But if you fuse two bands, then you just have more to pick from. And if they're similar enough of a genre or a tour together, I am very curious though of just like the monetary and business side of what a tribute band can do. Just like how much can you make a career of doing this full time? Clearly you can.
Yeah. No, totally. I think it purely depends on the level. I believe...
Like, what size venues are they playing? He did say it's like...
Yeah, so they're playing 500 to 1,000 seaters, those kind of size venues. And then it sounds like this year they'll play between 50 and 70 shows.
Okay.
So they are making a living from it. Like for them, it works. But I imagine there's a huge difference between a scrappy tribute that's just starting and one that is known and is being booked on those circuits that they talked about, right? Where they're doing like regular gigs at certain theaters.
Yeah, well, because it is this thing of music now to, like, you make most of your money on tour anyways. At least a lot of like indie bands, like most of what they're making is from tour. So, because they can't be selling CDs, right? They don't have publishing or licensing for the music.
No, that's actually a really good question. No, totally. They're not selling their music.
Yeah.
They're just purely, it's the live show and merch, I guess.
I don't know how they get around the logistics of covering. I guess, is that, you're allowed to do that?
Look, I didn't do a big deep dive into it, but from what I can tell, it's kind of, bands aren't suing tribute bands.
Okay.
Like it's not really happening. So I don't know if it's something to do with like law around like parody law, even something like that, whether if you're not, you're not tricking people into turning up thinking it's the real deal.
Gallagher.
And there just don't seem to be, there's not like, no one's being an asshole about it and actively trying to destroy these bands. And, as he brought up, Mick Fleetwood, Fleetwood Mac's drummer, apparently was just like, I'm going to start my own tribute and take a little cut from this, which I think is just kind of remarkable. That's so cool.
It reminds me of the Gallagher story a little bit too.
Yeah. I imagine if there was a tribute band that somehow managed, like say a Beyonce tribute band started and this band suddenly got so big, Beyonce's crowd was suddenly like lessening and halving. I imagine Beyonce would take some kind of legal action, but I guess that's just not happening, right? Like the tribute scene isn't big enough that it's wiping out an existing audience. And the other thing that I hadn't thought about before is it is a way of, if you're a huge fan of AC/DC today, if you see them, they're not quite in the state they were in. Like they're much older now and they're struggling. And also tickets are probably pretty expensive. So it's this accessibility thing where like you can see the best version that you can afford of a dream band is now available to you. And I really like that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I did like that kind of community aspect they were bringing to places that are otherwise overlooked. That they're saying they're going through to these towns that aren't getting kind of these mainstream tours. So,
yeah, they're not people that are going to drive to Los Angeles and fork out, gigs are expensive now as well, right? Like you got like $400 tickets for things now, which is inaccessible for so many people.
Which I will say, like having been on tour before with bands, like some of those towns are the best shows where like people don't come here, so they're going to go to whatever's playing and they're the most hungry to experience something fun. So it makes sense that like, we'll see a tribute band here and enjoy the shit out of
It's
this.
the opposite to what you see in Los Angeles, and I will have been guilty about this as well, where you're at the most amazing show of your life and you look around and you've got people like taking a selfie or like emailing someone. And it's like, that's the opposite of what you were just talking about, the energy. Yeah, seeing bands in small towns is amazing because they want it. They're hungry for it.
Well, and the snobbery is just not there. That you would get in LA going to a live show.
Yeah, no one's posing. No one's thinking about what they look like. They're there to just like lose themselves to the music, which is a whole different thing.
I will say one other fun thing that this reminded me of is the Hives on this last album and tour that they did. They did this thing where they were franchising the Hives and telling people to just start tribute bands to them, and they would pick them in the city to come open their shows.
Oh, this is very on point. So they're looking for a tribute band to open their own show
of them, and they were like saying like, oh, franchise the Hives and start a band and send in your videos and we'll have you come open our show.
That's really, really fun. I really, really like that.
Yeah, because they also, do you know much about the Hives?
No, not a lot. I saw them play in New Zealand a long time ago, but I know very little.
They're incredible, and the singer, they're a Swedish band, and he very much plays up like having a massive ego and thinking they're the best band in the world. But it's like clearly a character. So they lean into that of like, we're the best band in the world, franchise us and be part of it.
Yeah, and also clearly there will be thousands of people out there that love our music. So of course there'll be all these people like flooding to tribute our music.
Yeah. They just have this level, intentional level of arrogance on that they're doing as part of the character. That's really fun.
That's really good. I really, really like that. Well, maybe this year we need to try and get to a Hive show, or we need to get to a Dirty Deeds show. Like Dirty Deeds have welcomed us to go and see any of their shows in the US that they're performing this year. So it'll be kind of fun. I don't know. We'll find one of those towns that they're in that has some other story we can explore as well, and maybe we go.
I thought you were going to say the goal for this year was to get someone to franchise our podcast and do a tribute, a tribute episode to Flightless Bird. That's where you're going.
What would that be? I think, I mean, it's funny, isn't it? I was talking with my brother about the podcasting and AI and stuff, and whether AI will ever replace the podcast. And I keep thinking about that actually. Like, could it happen? Different topic.
I just feel like there's not enough heart and like intentionality behind it.
That's it. And the humor as well, like
and strategy. Like, even if we were like AI write us episodes of this show, we would have to figure out the direction. It wouldn't work.
Also, like if you're interviewing real people, like to get the real people, you have to have real humans interacting with those people and figuring all that stuff out.
Yeah, I mean that part can't go. That's like it's such a piece of the heart of this show is the real people that are being interviewed.
I'm curious about those podcasts where it's just, there's certain podcasts I listen to where it's literally just hosts, no guests, just hosts talking, and they've got 800 episodes banked. And I'm so curious if like the rhythm of that could be thrown in. It's like I listen to a movie review podcast that I love, and it's the same formula every week. Could you just feed all those, 800 hours in, and then kind of go, okay, the movie this week is Jurassic Park 10. Go. And it manages to replicate those three hosts' rhythm and humor. I'm curious how good that will get and whether that will become possible. I fucking hope not.
Yeah. I mean, and I think at the end of the day, I think the drain on resources is still the bigger problem with all of this, whether it can do it or not output the same creative piece, which I don't think it can do.
I agree.
Just the amount of energy that and water and whatever.
Whether the planet will still be here to support that.
Yeah. It's
also,
more a
I
question.
think as an audience wants people. That's the other thing. Like there's that audience choice thing as well, where I think the concept of listening to something is a machine versus a flesh and blood human that you have that connection with, very different things. And saying that, people are fucking dating and fucking robots and AI. So what do I know?
There's been some more and more stories about that coming out. But at the end of the day, we're going to say it here. We're not going to AI Flightless Bird. Don't worry.
We're not. Just to be clear. Okay. Sorry, that was a tangent I took us on. Because we're doing this remotely, do not have feedback because we're recording this a little bit in advance. But I did want to say, as always, any feedback, flightlessbirdchat@gmail.com. I'm very excited that the Farrier's feet pics over on our Flightless Bird Patreon are doing really well. Every week I'm uploading a fresh creative photo of one of my Tootsies.
Are you keeping up with the every week part of it?
Look, it's inconsistent, but it's close to every week. I don't want to overwhelm people with the attraction of each individual toe, but it's been fun. People's responses have been very, very fun to that.
Do you want to maybe make a New Year's resolution that you will do one every week?
Look, the Farrier family, we're not big into resolutions, but I'll take it under consideration. We don't like to be tied down. When you're a dark tourist, you like to live on the edge. You don't like to be told what to do. But I'll try my best. So Patreon, bonus episodes weekly if you're not over there already, and a lot of feet.
Exciting news. We did hit 1,000 subscribers on Patreon over the holidays.
You say exciting. I say I'm very stressed about this.
Well, this means, 1, you get an egg broken over your head.
Yes.
2, we get to do Lord of the Rings at the Alamo in LA soon. So when you get back to LA,
yep,
we're going to book an Alamo and you're going to have your first journey to Middle Earth.
Look, I'm excited. People are excited about it. I'm excited to hang out with our patrons in a cinema. I love the cinema. I'm deeply annoyed that it is Lord of the Rings. No offense to people that love that film, the franchise, but just for me, I really struggle with it. It will be the first time watching it. I feel scared and worried, but I'm also look. We'll get there. Deep breaths.
It'll be fun. I think it's the 25th anniversary of it too, of the Fellowship. And I mean, Calvin hasn't seen it in a theater, so maybe I'll bring him out for it.
Yeah, we'll do a first served for tickets for Patreon members for that. I'm excited. We reached a goal of 1,000 Patreons members, but I'm also, what it means is deeply stressful for me, but I'm also, I like to complain. It'll be fun.
Yeah. Well, I guess with that said, if you're in LA and you're not on our Patreon and you want to come to the screening, you got to go sign up.
Sign up for
there
are fun things happening over there. And again, our members are I love our members. The chats are fun. Everything's very good over there.
The other exciting thing is that we're nearing Roosevelt's visit.
That I'm excited about. Roosevelt in LA? Holy shit. That I'm down for. Now, thanks for anyone that's come and supporting us there. It helps us make the show. It builds a community. So thanks to anyone who signed up to our Patreon. We will see you over there with bonus content always. Otherwise, email in flightlessbirdchat@gmail.com if you have any cover/tribute band feedback. Deeply curious what you make of that particular scene. And I imagine a lot of you listening will have experienced a tribute band at some point, and I'm curious if you have any stories about those experiences. We're on Instagram now, Flightless Bird Pod. Come and follow us on YouTube, all the places. Like and subscribe, and we will see you next week.
And here's a preview of this week's bonus Patreon episode.
We could do a little update for our Patreon listeners about a holiday time, who has had the best or the worst time. As you can see, I'm incredibly tanned right now. It's just,
your trip's been much more tropical.
It's opposite of your experience.
My wintry wonderland.
Your wintry wonderland.
We had a Chipotle lunch in honor of Flightless Bird.
Beautiful. Hit the spot.
And an Olive Garden dinner.
Holy shit. Rob, it's like in my absence, you have morphed into me.
I don't even know how to describe it.
Amazing, satisfying, delicious, all those things. I am spending a bit more time in NZ. We'll do some more Patreon updates from New Zealand, and then I sort of head back. If your wonderful border protection agency lets me back in, that's the moment of truth.
Yeah, and if anyone wants to meet David at LAX.
Don't need the...
I mean, you need a ride probably from the airport, right?
Won't you be there?
For what?
Me.